Hello and welcome to this training series on National Back to Church Sunday. I'm Jason Day, the Executive Director of National Back to Church Sunday. We're excited to have you joining us. In this first video, we're going to really be looking at the why behind Back to Church Sunday. Now, there are two pressing questions that every pastor, every ministry leader, and every church often wrestle with. The first question deals with those who are already a part of our church, those who are inside the walls of our church. And that first question is, how do we help those people grow in their faith? How do we help them to grow more deeply in their life as disciples? The second question focuses on those outside the walls of our church, those people in our community. And that question is, how do we reach new people with the love and hope of Jesus Christ? Now, both of these questions have to do with growth, right? Spiritual growth, actually. The first question is, how do we help our people grow more deeply in their spiritual walk? The second is, how are we introducing people to Jesus who do not yet know him as Lord of their life? And this is kingdom growth. Now, we know that one of the best ways to really help people who are following Jesus to grow more deeply in their faith is to help them get on mission. We know this from our own personal experiences, right? You can probably think of times when maybe you were on a cross-cultural mission project. And during that time, you experienced God to a deeper level. Why? Because you were involved and engrossed in kingdom work. And so we know that whenever we are on mission, whenever we are looking at people through the eyes of Jesus, that helps us grow as disciples. So we want to think about, how do we help our people see others really through the eyes of Jesus? And then how do we help them take action when it comes to serving the kingdom and introducing people to Jesus? Now, in this training, we're going to take a look at a ministry opportunity that helps answer both of these pressing questions. I'll be showing you a simple and effective way to address both these questions, both how do we help our people grow more deeply in their faith, and how do we reach new people with the hope of Jesus? Now, this is a way and an opportunity that you will see can lead to tremendous kingdom impact for your local church. So we're excited to help you look at this. Now, every church can do this. It doesn't matter how small, how large your church is. It doesn't matter the context. Every context, whether it's rural, suburban, or an urban church, wherever your geographical location might be, whatever your denomination, whatever your tradition, whatever style of church, every single church can do this. And tens and thousands of churches have participated and have witnessed renewal in their churches and lives transformed by Jesus. Now, the big question is, what is working so effectively? It's National Back to Church Sunday. National Back to Church Sunday is celebrated the third Sunday of September every single year. And before you just dismiss this as just another ministry program, I ask that you listen to what makes Back to Church Sunday so special. Back to Church Sunday is a movement of churches, really, across the nation, mobilizing their people on a mission-focused challenge to reach their community for Christ. Any church can join in. We provide free training. We provide some free resources. We provide a lot of encouragement and offer additional resources as well, so your church can really go as big as you want when it comes to Back to Church Sunday. Every church can really contextualize the celebration so that it uniquely fits their local church and their own community. It's amazing over the years how we've seen churches get very, very creative with Back to Church Sunday. You can be as creative as you like and really make this event your own, while at the same time, you're joining with churches from across the nation, all focused on the same goal, and that is inviting everyone in your community back to church. Now, over 40,000 churches have participated in Back to Church Sunday, sharing more than 5 million invitations to a local church. Incredibly, 96% of pastors who've participated in Back to Church Sunday say that their church is going to participate again in the future. In fact, we have many churches that have celebrated Back to Church Sunday 5, 6, 7 years in a row. And they've really made Back to Church Sunday a part of their church culture. So the big question is, why do pastors love Back to Church Sunday so much? Now, there are several reasons, and every single year we survey pastors after Back to Church Sunday, and we get their feedback, we listen to their stories, and we ask them what was important to them, what did they find valuable, and what are some of the stories of transformation that they saw. Now, the pastors provide a variety of reasons as to why they love Back to Church Sunday. And the first relates to those two pressing questions I started with. Back to Church Sunday impacts your church and your community at the same time. Churches have seen incredible revival and renewal within their church. Churches that have been stagnant have reported that after celebrating Back to Church Sunday and mobilizing their people, they've seen a freshness, a move of God that they haven't seen in years. And so it impacts your church. You see people who may have never entered into a spiritual conversation with someone else, suddenly inviting them to church and entering into those conversations. We've had churches that report that they've doubled their attendance on Back to Church Sunday. We've had many churches report that their attendance has been 10, 20% higher than previous Sundays and average Sundays. And so we see this impact on the local church, but then also the impact on the community, because you are reaching new people that are not connected to a church and introducing them to Jesus, seeing those lives transformed. So first reason that pastors really love Back to Church Sunday is because it answers both those questions, right? Impacts their church, the people that God has entrusted to them, also impacts their community. Another reason pastors love it is that it really allows them to kick off the ministry year with an outward focus. Now, the majority of churches really kind of kick off their ministry year in the fall, right? Because kids are back in school, families are home from vacations and traveling over the summer. And it's kind of a time to reset ministry. Oftentimes, churches will launch campaigns where they're trying to get people to join small groups or read through the Bible, or different things where they're really trying to focus people in and just launch their small group ministries, their kids ministries, their youth ministries with a new focus. What pastors who do Back to Church Sunday have said is that by celebrating Back to Church Sunday, it really focuses people on the community and people who are far from God. It helps get them on mission very, very quickly. And it kind of sets a precedent for the entire year that we are a church who is concerned about people who are far from God. We're concerned about people in our community. And so it really helps drive home that point of we are people who are on God's mission right here in our neighborhood. So it kicks off that ministry year with an outward focus. Pastors also love Back to Church Sunday because it prioritizes praying for those who are far from God. Again, this goes back to that outward focus, but it really helps people make prayer a priority in their lives. Now, a lot of people pray for their own needs, and that's absolutely fine. They pray for the needs of family members and others. But Back to Church Sunday helps them focus their prayers on those people who they know in their lives, whether it's a coworker, a neighbor, maybe just a friend, who doesn't know Christ as Lord. And so they begin praying for these people, and that radically transforms how people begin to look at those relationships and the opportunities that God opens before them. So that's another great reason pastors love Back to Church Sunday. It also provides a practical way to live on mission. Now, we talked about this emphasis on this outward focus, but Back to Church Sunday is very, very practical. There are tools and resources available to your church that really helps your people become mobilized with these resources, with these tools, with these ideas, and with this mission-centered focus that helps them to really step in and take action, which is incredibly important. Back to Church Sunday also focuses the entire church on one specific goal, right? And so all ages and stages of life in your church, all of your ministry leaders, you're all in on this focus. And so it helps provide unity in your church. Everyone is involved. Everyone is engaged. It helps re-engage people who might be on the fringes a little bit. And it creates an atmosphere of expectation. What do I mean by that? It's an atmosphere of expectation that one, God is going to move, in your church and in your community, but also an atmosphere of expectation that everyone in the church is expected to be involved in some way. This isn't just something where people can volunteer for this particular ministry or volunteer for another ministry. This is something that everyone, from youngest to oldest, can engage in and be a part of. And there's just this expectation that we're all in this thing together. Pastors absolutely love that. Pastors also love the fact that people's lives are forever changed when they see people's lives forever changed. In other words, when someone invites a friend to come to church and that friend hears the gospel presented and begins to seek Jesus, grows kind of in their faith, has deep questions answered in their lives, and ultimately commits their life to Christ. When someone has invited a friend, they see that happen in their friend's life, not only is their friend's life forever changed, but their life is as well. We can all probably think of stories of people that we've discipled, people that we've introduced to Jesus, and seeing that life transformation in their lives changes our lives. And imagine what it would be like if people in your church were inviting neighbors and coworkers and classmates and had the opportunity to see their lives changed. I tell you what, the person who invited them, they're forever changed, and they're going to look at all the relationships they have much differently. And they're going to be encouraged to invite people to church, to enter into spiritual conversations, to share their faith stories, and introduce people to Jesus and his church. And so their lives will be transformed forever. And then a final reason that pastors really love Back to Church Sunday, really see it as being effective, is that it celebrates the beauty and the value of the church. Now, in the world in which we live today, sometimes that's hard. Sometimes media and culture is down on the church. But there's something incredibly significant about the church. I mean, think about this. Every church, your church, is a local expression of the body of Jesus Christ. I mean, let that sink in. Every church that's God-honoring and Christ-centered, Spirit-empowered, kingdom-focused, Bible-believing, every one of those churches is the expression of the body of Christ. The church, as messy as it can sometimes be, is absolutely vital. It's a place where we celebrate who God is and what God is doing in our midst, in our community, and in our world. The church is a place where we can find community and where all people can grow and develop as God intended. Learn more about Jesus and what it means to honor God with their lives. The church is a place of encouragement, a place of support. When we're going through difficult times and challenging times and we have loss in our lives, the church is that place where we find that encouragement, find others who come around us and support us and help us through trying times. The church is a team, really, that rallies together and serves and shares and gives. God has put your church right where it is, in this moment of time, to make a difference. I believe that. I want you to believe that. It's no coincidence that you are in your church and your church is in that place that it finds itself right here and right now. God's mission is for you and for your church, to shine the light of Jesus. Back to Church Sunday is a wonderful way to celebrate the power of Christ's mission and the beauty of Christ's church. Now, recent research from the Billy Graham Center at Wheaton College indicates that only about 10% of American churches are growing through reaching new people. That is, reaching people that do not already attend another church or aren't already connected to another church. Only 10%, 1 in every 10 churches, is actually doing that. And yet, that same study indicates that the majority of unchurched people, majority of people that are not connected to any church at all, are open to an invitation to church from a trusted friend. In fact, a massive number of people in every town and every city across the nation, in your town, in your neighborhood, are open to being invited and connected to a local church. Now, the research showed that those churches who are most effective at reaching people, those 10% of churches that are really getting the mission done, are those that develop a culture that focuses on frequently inviting the unchurched and also develops a culture of hospitality. So these churches are incredibly intentional about both inviting and welcoming the unchurched. They're intentional. You see, we often convince ourselves that the problem or the issue with people not committing their lives to Jesus and connecting with a church is an issue that is somewhere out there. We often blame a shifting culture. All of these things from our culture are pressing in and leading people in different directions. But the reality, as this research demonstrates, is that the problem really lies with us, with the church. And if we're honest with ourselves, we recognize that it is really our lack of taking action, of extending an invitation, because for some reason, we have already decided that people are not receptive. But the data proves just the opposite. The majority of people are open to an invitation to church. The problem is we're not inviting them. So Back to Church Sunday is an ideal way for your church to get equipped, to get focused on taking action, and mobilize your people to extend that invitation. The reality is we're never designed to navigate life alone. We all know that. Jesus gave us himself. He gave us his body on the cross and his body through the church. And so let's share the hope-filled truth with as many people as we possibly can. Let's encourage our people to take action and to make those invitations. Back to Church Sunday provides an opportunity for your church to make a real impact in your community. Our team develops helpful tools and resources and training so that your church can simply and effectively re-energize your people. Get a sense of renewal within your church. Get your people on mission and reach your community with the hope of Jesus Christ. And so may we all be found faithful in our time of ministry. May we honor God as we lead our churches. May we truly seek to live out the mission that Jesus gave us, to introduce people to Jesus and to his church, to make disciples who make disciples who make disciples. Let's invite our neighborhoods, our towns, our cities back to church.